Prince Harry is reportedly terrified right now. Not of the press, not of the tabloids, not even of Prince William. According to sources close to the situation, he is scared of his own wife. Because behind closed doors, at what should have been the most delicate and promising moment in the Sussex reconciliation effort in years, Meghan Markle has reportedly drawn up a list of demands so extravagant, so completely tone-deaf to where they are standing right now, that insiders say Harry has been left in a state of genuine panic. Panic that these demands, his wife's demands, could cost them their royal titles for good. And here is the part that will truly shock you. Some of those requests directly involve Kate Middleton's personal glam team. We are going to walk through every single detail today, including the explosive body language revelations from their NBA All-Star Game appearance that suggest all is not well between the couple in public either. Stay with me, because this is one of the most significant behind-the-scenes royal stories to emerge in months. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, subscribe and hit that notification bell right now, because we cover the British royal family with depth and detail that you simply will not find anywhere else. This story in particular is one you need to hear in full. Let us start with the context, because without it, none of what follows makes sense. According to Heat magazine, whose sources have been consistently close to Sussex matters, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are in the early stages of planning a potential summer trip to the United Kingdom. A trip that, on the surface, sounds like an enormous development, because make no mistake, it would be. Sources say that behind the scenes, peace talks between Harry and his father, King Charles, have been quietly progressing. Harry reportedly made a visit to Clarence's house not long ago that insiders described as a genuinely significant moment, a first real step in what could become a longer road back towards some form of family cohesion. The atmosphere, we are told, was cautious but hopeful. Harry has reportedly been approaching this entire process with extraordinary care. He knows the risks. He knows what is at stake. And sources familiar with his mindset say he is acutely aware that one wrong move, one misread situation, one incident that gets back to the wrong people, could slam the door shut permanently. As one source put it to Heat magazine, Harry genuinely believes that a single misstep could mean there is no way back, not for their royal future, and not for their relationship with the family. That is the tightrope Harry has been walking, careful, deliberate, quietly desperate for a path forward. And then, according to sources, Meghan handed over her list. Now let us be precise here, because the details matter enormously. What Heat magazine's sources describe is not a couple of personal preferences or reasonable logistical requests. They described something that insiders are calling a Hollywood A-list rider. That phrase is important. A rider is the backstage demand sheet that major entertainment artists send ahead of performances. The document that lists everything they require, from the temperature of the room to the specific brands of refreshments in the dressing room. It is a language that belongs to the entertainment industry. It does not belong to a family visit premised on reconciliation with an ancient institution that runs on protocol, restraint, and symbolic deference. And yet, by multiple accounts, that is exactly the kind of document that has been causing chaos behind closed doors. According to sources cited by the News International, the requests reportedly include private chefs, a yoga instructor, a full-time glam team for any public appearances during the visit. Each of those, taken individually, might be explained away. Many public figures traveling for high-profile engagements make similar arrangements. But it is the specific nature of some of these requests, who exactly Meghan is reportedly asking for, that has crossed a line that palace insiders say is very difficult to come back from. Because here is where things move from merely extravagant into something far more loaded. Meghan has reportedly requested that Kate Middleton's personal glam team be made available to her, specifically hairstylist Amanda Cook Tucker and makeup artist Arabella Preston, two professionals who have been close personal allies of Catherine, Princess of Wales, for years. These are not anonymous contractors available for general hire. Amanda Cook Tucker has accompanied Catherine through some of the highest profile and most emotionally significant moments of her public life. Arabella Preston is someone Catherine has trusted at an intensely personal level, as both a professional and a confidant. To request access to them is not simply an unusual styling preference. It is, in the language the palace understands better than anyone, a provocation, and palace sources are reportedly describing it in exactly those terms. Meghan's demands are said to be ruffling feathers inside the institution in a way that is very difficult to smooth over. But Meghan is reportedly not stopping there. She is also said to be insisting that celebrity stylist Law Roach, be flown in specifically for public appearances during the visit. Law Roach, for those who may be less familiar with the entertainment world, is one of the most high-profile and sought-after image architects working today, a creative force who has shaped some of the most iconic and attention-commanding looks in contemporary celebrity culture. His fees are considerable. His presence generates headlines, and bringing him into the middle of what is supposed to be a quiet, goodwill-driven family visit sends a message that is completely at odds with the moment. This is not the posture of someone arriving in humility to begin repairing broken relationships. This is the posture of someone preparing to perform. And the palace, whatever its many complexities, knows the difference. Then there is the accommodation request, which is perhaps the most symbolically charged detail of all. According to Geo News, Meghan is reportedly demanding that the family stay at apartment 1A at Kensington Palace during the visit. If you are not immediately familiar with the weight of that particular address, let me explain why it matters so enormously. Apartment 1A is not merely a prestigious and spacious flat within the Kensington Palace complex. It is the residence where Prince William and Catherine raised their young family in the early years of their marriage. It is deeply, personally, and symbolically intertwined with the Princess of Wales. It carries the memory of her family's early life together in a way that no other address in the royal estate quite does. Requesting to stay there, when other suitable and equally comfortable accommodations could easily be arranged, is not being read inside the palace as a neutral logistical choice. It is being interpreted as something deliberate, a claim to proximity, to parity, to a kind of territorial intimacy that has absolutely not been earned in the current climate. Royal commentators familiar with the dynamics involved have noted that in the world of monarchy, where every gesture carries symbolic weight and every detail is interpreted as a signal, the choice of apartment 1A specifically is being characterized internally as a hostile move. Not an overtly aggressive one, perhaps, but a pointed one. And pointed is more than enough to do damage at a moment as fragile as this one. To understand why Harry is reportedly in a state of panic over all of this, you need to understand with clarity what he stands to lose. The Sussex titles, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, are not written in stone. They were granted by the Crown, and they can be reviewed, questioned, or, in extraordinary circumstances, stripped. Harry reportedly understands this with an intimacy that no outside observer can fully appreciate. Sources familiar with his private thinking say he has told Meghan directly, clearly, and more than once, that their royal titles are not a permanent fixture of their lives. They are not an immutable part of their identity. Making demands of this scale, requests that could be read inside the palace as arrogant, tone-deaf, or actively provocative toward the family members whose goodwill they depend on, puts those titles at further risk. And Harry has reportedly told Meghan in no uncertain terms, losing those titles would have serious and lasting consequences for everything they are trying to build going forward. His reaction to Meghan's demand list, according to sources cited by the News International, is described with remarkable directness. He is not happy at all. He has reportedly warned her that pushing forward with these requirements could completely destroy any chance of repairing relations with his family. And in what may be the most revealing detail of this entire story, he has apparently gone so far as to tell Meghan that she should either rein it in or simply not come on the trip at all. Let that land for a moment. Harry, who sacrificed his relationship with his brother, his father, his country, and the institution he was born into, that man is reportedly now telling his wife that her presence in the United Kingdom, on these terms, would cause more damage than her absence. That is not a small thing. That is a man who is genuinely frightened about what is coming. What makes Harry's anxiety even more acute is the specific fear he reportedly carries about William and Catherine's reaction if those demands ever reach their ears. Sources indicate that Harry is scared, acutely, genuinely scared, that if the Prince and Princess of Wales discover what is on that list, the fragile progress of the past several months collapses instantly, requesting Kate's personal glam team, claiming apartment 1A as their accommodation. If those details reach William, the insiders say the fallout would be immediate and potentially irreversible. And William, by all accounts, has been cautiously neutral in the reconciliation effort, not actively welcoming Harry back with open arms, but also not actively obstructing the process. That neutrality, delicate and easily destroyed, is one of the most valuable things Harry has going for him right now. One incident, one demand that reads as territorial or insulting to Catherine, and it evaporates. And then there was the NBA All-Star Game. Last weekend, Harry and Meghan attended the NBA All-Star Game in what appeared to be a Valentine's weekend date night. Cameras captured them waving, smiling, looking relaxed in the company of a remarkable crowd that included Barack and Michelle Obama, Queen Latifah, Vin Diesel, and others. On the surface, it looked exactly like the kind of easy, glamorous California evening that the Sussex brand was built on. But a body language expert analyzing the footage noticed something that the polished smiles were working very hard to conceal. Inbal Honigman, speaking to Hello magazine, pointed to a specific moment where both Harry and Meghan performed the same self-soothing gesture simultaneously, each quietly holding their own wrist. To a casual viewer, it registers as nothing at all. But Honigman is explicit about what the gesture means. Holding one's own wrist, she explains, signifies a desire to restrain oneself. It is the body physically acting out what the mind is working to suppress. What gives this particular observation its power is the fact that both of them did it at precisely the same time, apparently without any coordination between them. That kind of mirrored behavior, experts say, suggests a shared internal pressure, something they are both carrying and both trying to hold together beneath a carefully maintained public surface. Honigman also noted that Harry was observed at moments curling his fingers, another nonverbal signal commonly associated with suppressed frustration. And while Meghan's smile appeared polished and composed throughout the evening, the overall picture the expert painted was one of tension sitting just beneath a carefully managed surface. There were genuinely warm moments in the footage, too. Meghan was photographed holding Harry's arm with evident affection. By all appearances, they remain a couple with real feeling for each other. But caring for someone and being in the middle of a difficult high-stakes disagreement with them are not mutually exclusive conditions. And royal watchers who have been tracking this story closely are now connecting those visible signs of strain directly to the private conflict that has reportedly been building over the demand list. A conflict that Harry and Meghan apparently brought with them all the way to the basketball court in San Francisco, worn quietly beneath their smiles. Before we go any further, it is worth taking a step back and asking a question that a lot of people do not bother to ask clearly. What is actually at stake for Harry if this reconciliation fails? Because understanding that is essential to understanding why his reported panic over Meghan's demands is so acute. When Harry walked away from the royal family in January 2020, the announcement was framed as a mutual decision, a step back, a restructuring. The language was careful and measured, but what followed was anything but measured. The Oprah interview in 2000 sent shockwaves through the institution in ways that are still reverberating. The Netflix documentary series in 2002 went even further, airing grievances, sharing private footage, and framing the royal family in terms that palace officials described privately as devastating to the working relationships they had spent decades building. And then came Spare in January 2000, a memoir that went into territory so personal, so specific, and so publicly damaging that sources say it prompted emergency meetings inside Buckingham Palace about how to manage the fallout. These were not minor skirmishes. These were sustained, deliberate, and very public attacks on an institution that Harry was born into, and that by his own account, he still has profound emotional ties to. And yet here we are. Because despite all of that, Harry has reportedly been reaching out, quietly, carefully, through intermediaries and direct conversation with his father. The visit to Clarence House that insiders describe as a significant moment in the peace process, that did not happen by accident. Harry made it happen. He took steps to make it happen. Which tells you something important about where his head is at. It tells you that whatever frustrations drove the public confrontations of the past several years, something in Harry is pulling him back. Maybe it is the desire to give his children a relationship with their grandfather. Maybe it is a recognition that the financial and professional landscape outside the palace is more challenging than he anticipated. Maybe it is simply that he misses his family in ways that are hard to admit publicly. Likely, it is some combination of all of these. But the point is, he is trying. And what he is trying to protect, that fragile, tentative beginning of a bridge, is precisely what Meghan's demand list is now threatening to destroy. It is also worth understanding the specific context of this summer visit, as it has been reported. Heat magazine sources indicate the trip is partly tied to the one-year countdown event for the Birmingham 2007 Invictus Games, an initiative that remains Harry's most enduring and genuinely respected public project. The Invictus Games, for those unfamiliar, were founded by Harry in 2014 as a rehabilitation sports competition for wounded, injured, and sick armed services personnel and their families. It has grown into a genuinely global event, with cross-party political support, and widespread public admiration. It is one of the areas where, by virtually all accounts, Harry's contributions have been real, meaningful, and lasting. Attending a planning event connected to Invictus gives the trip a legitimate public purpose, a framework within which a private family reconciliation can happen without looking purely reactive or desperate. That framing matters, and it is exactly the kind of thoughtful strategic positioning that Harry's team has apparently been working to build. Now, those same sources say Meghan's demand list is threatening to undermine all of it. Now let us zoom out and consider what all of this tells us about where the Sussex story actually stands as we move through 2026. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, their central argument, the one that drove everything that followed, was that the institution could not or would not give them what they needed: more protection, more support, more acknowledgement of who they were, more space to be themselves. And so they left. They built a life in California premised on the idea that freedom from the royal framework would allow them to thrive entirely on their own terms. Years later, that project has encountered considerable headwinds. The media landscape around them has shifted in ways that have not always been favorable. Hollywood has proven more complicated and less welcoming than it appeared from the outside. And now, with Harry making what appear to be genuine and cautious moves toward reconciliation with his father, there is a sense, fragile, tentative, but real, that a door might be opening. But walking through a door that has been firmly closed for years requires something that Meghan's reported demands appear to be conspicuously short of: genuine humility, not performed humility, not curated humility for a camera. Actual structural humility, the kind that says through behavior rather than words, "We understand the weight of this moment, we understand what was broken, and we are here to show through every choice we make that we are serious about repair." Requesting Kate's personal hairstylist does not say that. Claiming the Princess of Wales's former apartment does not say that. Flying in a celebrity stylist who generates entertainment media coverage for a visit designed to rebuild quiet private trust does not say that. What those choices say, in the language the palace speaks fluently and constantly, is something very different. And the palace has never struggled to read that language. Many people are now asking, and this question is being raised by royal watchers on both sides of the Atlantic, whether this trip happens at all. Does Harry succeed in convincing Meghan to walk back the most incendiary of these demands before they cause irreparable damage? Does she agree to scale back, or does she hold firm in the belief that these requirements are entirely reasonable? And if the visit does go ahead, what does it actually look like in practice? Because a visit that lands well, that is handled with care and restraint, and genuine goodwill, could begin the long and difficult work of real healing. But a visit that goes badly, particularly one derailed by demands that the Waleses find offensive or hostile, could accelerate the very outcome Harry fears most. All eyes are now on the coming weeks and months as the palace and the Sussex camp continue to navigate what is, by any honest measure, an extraordinarily delicate situation. And the question underneath all of it, the one that no one involved wants to say out loud but everyone is asking, is a simple one. Does Meghan want this reconciliation as much as Harry does? Because right now, the evidence coming out of the sources closest to the situation is painting a complicated picture. A picture of a prince who wants his family back with an urgency that is starting to show at the edges, and a dynamic within his own marriage that may be the single largest obstacle standing between where they are and where he wants to be. This story is absolutely not over, not by a long way. The summer is months away. A great deal can shift in that time, but the portrait being painted today by multiple credible sources is one that raises serious questions about where this is all headed, and whether the peace Harry is reaching for is actually within reach. What do you think? Do you believe Meghan will pull back from these demands? Or are the tensions between what she wants and what Harry needs becoming impossible to bridge? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. This community produces some of the most thoughtful analysis on the internet, and I read every single response. And if this video gave you something to think about, please subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you never miss a development as this story continues to unfold. We will be here, watching closely every step of the way.